Hi, it's time for Inside Silicon Valley Real Estate with Sophie. Thanks for coming back. Today we are going to talk about a question that was asked very often recently by homeowner. So if you have a house already and you're thinking about selling, and then now you see the market slows down, you ask yourself, should I sell or should I rent for a period of time and then wait to see how the market goes? Uh, there are a few things you want to consider when you're making decision in terms of whether you want to sell now or whether you want to wait and rent for a few period of time. The first thing that you want to think about is there any tax ramification? So if this is your primary home over the past few years, the tax law basically said if you own a house as a primary home 2 out of the past 5 years, at the time of sale, you can enjoy a capital gain tax exemption for federal tax. That is about $250,000 for one person. If you're a couple, that amount is about $500,000, which is a lot of money when it comes to saving your tax payment for capital gain tax. So this is the first thing you want to think about if this is going to be impacting you if you are decide to rent and keep it for a few years. The reason is because if you keep it renting for a longer than certain few years, you passed that allowed time frame, then you may not be able to enjoy that tax benefit anymore. Calculate what you can get versus the possible capital gain tax exemption you might not be enjoying, to ask yourself whether it's an option, whether it's a good option to sell now, whether it's a good option to keep the house renting for a certain period of time. So you want to pay attention to the timing. The next thing to think about is, are you ready to manage a tenant? Manage a tenant is not a small task. There are a lot of rules, especially in California, that regulate landlord, and also there's in certain cities there's also rent control. So you want to make sure you understand these items very well before you jump into becoming a landlord. The third thing to think about is if you decide to rent, how long you want to rent it to be able to capture the seasonal change of the market. For example, right now we are in September. We are going into spring. We're going into autumn, winter timeframe, which is usually a slow, seasonally slow. If we're not talking about overall market change, seasonally usually a little slow compared with, spring. Spring usually a little bit more active the market. So if you're thinking about capture the seasonal change of the market and give it a try, in spring, then when you're looking for tenants, you want to make sure you manage the rental time period. So that you don't always, usually if you always sign 1 year lease, then you end up always getting into the same time in the year. So that's another thing you want to keep in mind. The next thing also very important is, sometimes I have clients who decide to just rent for short time period and becoming renting for longer. And if you decide to rent for longer and because of the market doesn't allow you to sell and you don't get ideal pricing you want to ask yourself, is it possible that you change your primary home, becoming your rental property in a long run? If that is the case, there is a vehicle you might be able to use. It's called 1031 exchange that may help you to defer taxes. That's not going to help you to exempt the tax is what we talked about before if it's a primary home, but they allow you to defer the tax. So if that is something you are willing to consider, if the market end up force you to rent it for longer than the time period that's ideal, this could be the option you might end up into. So this is also another thing you want to think about. With all these things that you need to think about, in the end you want to ask yourself, are you ready for that? If you're not ready, is it a good time? Maybe it's better to sell right now and then just take your profits if you already have a very large profit by selling your current house. So if you have any questions on your specific scenario, please feel free to contact us. We will be happy to analyze your case to see whether sell or whether rent for a certain period of time is a better option for you. You are always welcome to call me on my cell phone 408-799-2558 or email me sophie@sophierealestate.com, and feel free to leave your comments below. We will be happy to see your comments or any questions and get them addressed. Again, thanks for watching our video. Until next time, I wish you a very wonderful day.